Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, peace be with you, and the blessings of God. Welcome to A-Level Maths live lesson on Monday, the 12th of October. It's 9 p.m. That's the start time every day for the lessons on Monday to Thursday. Today's topic is expanding brackets, so let's see what's in store. Okay, expanding here means to multiply out. You have to imagine there's a multiplication sign at the beginning of the bracket, and everything in the brackets is getting multiplied by what's on the outside. So this is something that's hopefully familiar to you, and you're going to need it a lot in today's lesson. So just to make sure you're completely okay with it, let me just do the first one, and you can do a couple yourself. So on the outside I have just the 3y, so the 3y is getting multiplied by the 5y squared. That's going to make, if I just think of the numbers, 3 times 5 makes 15, and the y times y squared is y cubed. And then I can move on to the next one. So now it's the same 3y times by the minus 6y cubed. The 3 times the minus 6, just the number part, is going to be minus 18. Y times y cubed is going to be y to the power 4. And then the final one, 3y times the minus 7, which is minus 21y. So that's just a quick example recap of how to do expanding brackets. And before we take it to the harder levels, I need to make sure you have this completely within your grasp. So just try a couple of practice ones and we'll take answers in a second, maybe a couple of minutes. Okay, just two for you to try out, see if you're okay with them. Give you a minute. As soon as you're ready, just type in one of the answers into the chat window. Okay, hopefully that's enough time to go through at least one of them in your head. Not sure whether this is going to work, but let's try. Not gonna work. Never mind, I can just go through the answer with you and hopefully no surprises. 5t times 6t, that makes 30t squared, followed by the minus 15t plus 25t to the power 3. I'm just going to change color. Minus 8y squared plus 24y cubed plus 80y plus 8y to the power 4. If you spotted a mistake, let me know. Otherwise, hopefully you're comfortable with that. So I'll just give you a second to check your answer. That's a power 3. Okay, great. If that's no problem for you, then the next level you need to work on is where you've got multiple brackets. So maybe we'll go with 2 things in the first bracket and 3 things in the second bracket. And now, because there's so much there, you have to try and use a technique which is called cover up. So if you have in the first bracket 2 things, then you want to cover up one of those things so that there's much less to be worried about. So starting with the 6y squared, that's fine. Cover up anything else mentally. I'm going to move this in a second, but you've got to try and imagine that's covered up and all you're focused on is the 6y squared. So just focusing on the 6y squared and multiplying through, you'd get 6y squared times the 10, that's 60y squared. And then the next one is the same 6y squared. Imagine the minus 5y is covered up, so just the 6y squared is visible. 6y squared times minus 5y cubed. Again, nothing to panic about. The 6 times the minus 5, that's minus 30. Y squared times the y cubed, that's y to the power 5. The powers get added. And then the last one, it's 6y squared times the 4y. Again, if you do the number bit first, that'll be easy. 6 times 4, no mistake there, that's 24. And then y squared times y, that's going to be y cubed. And the reason you have to use the cover-up method is because it gets quite complicated. So I'm just going to move that to the left. Just change my color back so that's clearer. And now, taking what you covered up or imagined was covered up. That's the minus 5y we imagined was covered up. Now we're just going to move that cover across to the 6y squared, because that's been done now. We've done the 6y squared as much as we could. So now I can leave that there, and the focus is just on what's left, the minus 5y times each bit in turn. So the first one, minus 5y times 10, that's nice and easy. And then the minus 5y times the minus 5y cubed. Again, don't panic, 2 minuses make the plus. 5 times 5 is 25. And the y times y cubed is y to the power 4. And then finally minus 5y times the 4y, and that's minus 20 in terms of the number bit, and y times y is y squared. So hopefully you can see covering up, it just made that second stage much easier. You're not having to worry about which bit you've done, which bit you haven't done. You're just focusing on what you can see and then multiplying through. And now you can forget about the question, the expanding brackets bit has been done, but you just want to spot if there's anything that can be just made a little bit simpler, any powers that can be put together. So here we've got a power of 2y squared, but then later on we've got y squared as well. So we can put them together, 60y squared. Remember the sign comes with the item, so it's minus 20y squared. We've got any other powers? No, pretty much those were the only two where you've got the same power. So that means I can just bring everything as it is. And then simplify the beginning bit. 60y squared minus 20y squared. That's going to be 40y squared. I can write that in. And that's your answer. Normally it's easiest to the eye, nicest to the eye, just to write them in powers where you've got, say, the smallest power of y first, and then it goes bigger and bigger, or the other way around. But I'm just going to leave it like that, that's fine. And just do a quick replay of the main technique. So when you've got quite a lot in both brackets, you just want to try and cover up and focus on the first bit, which is the 6y squared, multiply that through, and then because you don't want to lose focus of what's been done and what's not been done, just cover up the thing that you've worked on, just leaving the next thing that you have to work on. So now it's clear that minus 5y is what you're working on, and you're multiplying that bit by bit, term by term, nice and clear. You don't have to get confused with what was there already, and then just simplify if you can at the end. Okay, you try one. Have a go at this, and as soon as you're ready, let me know what you think the answer is. I'll give you about 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, well done to the earlier answer. See if you can have a go at this one. Give you about 30 more seconds. If you're finished already, just have a check to see if you can simplify it. And when you're ready, start to check your answer as I write it on the screen. Okay, you can see the first part of the answer, and I'm just going to make myself a bit of space to carry on with the answer, and at the same time just bring my little cover. I've done the 10y, so that can get covered up, and then I know all I need to work on is the -3. If you're done with the expanding, then just have a quick look to see if anything can be simplified, combined. 60y minus 18y. You've got minus 10y cubed, can be combined with minus 6y cubed. You've got 60y squared. So just anything that you can spot can be combined, just combine it. And it's a good idea just to cross it off once you've combined it, simplified, so that it doesn't get too complicated or you don't use anything twice. Just going to go to the y squared now, which can be combined, and that can be 63y squared. Get that crossed off. Then you've got the y cubed that can be combined. And if you manage to spot a mistake while I'm doing this, feel free to type it into the chat window. And then the final two can just go on at the end. No simplifying needed for the power of 4. And then take away the 18. Okay, hopefully you got at least some of that right. Maybe you didn't have quite enough time to get all of it done, but the principle is the main thing, which is try to cover up a little bit at a time and work on that, and then move over. Let me just check if anyone did manage to get part of that. Okay, that's fine. You can work on more practice questions in your own time. The last thing just for today is the principle in multiplication, which you'll need a little bit today and mainly a lot more in the next lesson, is that multiplication can be done in any order. So 6 times 3 times 5, I can do that if I prefer in an easier, if I think it's going to be easier to do it with 3 times 6 first, I can change it around and then the answer gets times by 5. So similarly, when you're working with brackets, which both of them have got quite a lot in, just ask yourself, which bracket would you prefer to be working with at the front, and whichever one that happens to be, then you just want to write it at the front rather than let a harder bracket be there. So imagine you had a question like this. You got the first bracket's got 3 things, 3 terms, and the second bracket's got 2 terms. There's a time sign in between, so it's just like the 6 times 5, say. You can change that around to 5 times 6 and the answer is going to be the same. So you ask yourself, would you prefer the bracket with quite a lot in it to be at the front, or would you prefer the bracket with just the 2 things to be at the front? And different people work in different ways, so it's whichever one is your preference. If you're happy with it like that, then just leave it like that. If you prefer the beginning bracket to be just 2 things, like I do, then just move that small bracket to the front and then you're ready to go, just using your cover-up rule or the cover-up technique, and just imagining you're working on the 7y squared, expand, multiply, 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 and then you can move over and then work with a -6, timesing by every single time. So just wanted to show you that. More to come in tomorrow's lesson when we go on to triple brackets, but if you can just practice a little bit before then, you've got hopefully you've got a copy of the book and the example question. If you just want to work through that, expand 2x squared plus 3x minus 6, with the second bracket being 4x cubed plus 6x squared plus 3. Cover up the working out and just try it yourself. And the good thing is that when you then compare your answer to the working out, you'll be able to see which part you got right, and if there's any mistakes you can learn from the correct working out. Okay, that's today's lesson. Hopefully you learned something new or practiced something that will now get you ready to learn something new in tomorrow's lesson, inshallah, if God wills. Join me tomorrow, Tuesday, 9 p.m, and we'll be doing more expanding brackets. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Peace be with you and the blessings of